breaking down how 8 of the most powerful drug lords in modern history met their end. Some in gunfights, some in prison cells, and some in ways stranger than fiction. Let's get into it. At his peak in the late 1980s, Pablo Escobar controlled roughly 80% of the cocaine entering the United States through the Medellin cartel. He was so wealthy that Forbes listed him as one of the richest men on earth. He built housing for the poor, ran for Congress, and simultaneously waged a bombing campaign against the Colombian state that killed hundreds of civilians. By the early 1990s, the net was closing. After negotiating his own surrender in 1991, Escobar was held in a luxury prison he designed himself, La Catedral, complete with a soccer field, bar, and jacuzzi. When the government tried to transfer him to a real prison in 1992, he simply walked out. What followed was a 16-month manhunt involving the Colombian National Police's elite search block, U.S. DEA advisors, and even a rival paramilitary group called Los Peeps, made up of Escobar's enemies who began assassinating his associates one by one. On December 2, 1993, one day after his 44th birthday, Colombian intelligence triangulated a phone call Escobar made to his son. Search block units surrounded the house in a middle-class Medellin neighborhood. Escobar and his bodyguard tried to escape across adjoining rooftops. In the ensuing gunfight, Escobar was shot 3 times, including a fatal shot to the ear. To this day, there's debate over whether he was killed by police fire or took his own life to avoid capture. Unlike Escobar, El Chapo wasn't killed, but his story is arguably just as dramatic. As the head of the Sinaloa cartel, Guzman built one of the most sophisticated smuggling operations in history, reportedly including cross-border tunnels equipped with rail carts and ventilation systems. He was first captured in Guatemala in 1993 and imprisoned in Mexico, only to escape in 2001, reportedly hidden in a laundry cart. He was recaptured in 2014, then escaped again in 2015 through a mile-long tunnel dug directly into his prison cell shower, complete with lighting and a motorcycle on rails. His final capture came in January 2016, following an operation that involved a firefight in Los Mochis. He was extradited to the United States in 2017 and, after a high-profile trial featuring testimony from former associates, was sentenced in 2019 to life in prison plus 30 years, held in the ADX Florence Supermax facility in Colorado, a fate many say he feared more than death itself. While Escobar was making headlines with violence, the Cali Cartel, led by brothers Gilberto and Miguel Rodriguez Orihuela, took a quieter approach: bribery, legitimate business fronts, and political infiltration rather than open warfare. At their height in the mid-1990s, they controlled an estimated 80% of the world's cocaine trade. Their downfall came not from bullets, but from a mix of DEA pressure and a shifting political climate in Colombia. Gilberto was captured in 1995. Miguel was arrested later that same year. Rather than fighting extradition to the death, the brothers struck plea deals, serving reduced sentences in Colombia before eventually being extradited to the United States in 2004 and 2006, where they pleaded guilty to drug trafficking charges. Griselda Blanco helped pioneer the Miami cocaine trade in the 1970s and 80s, reportedly ordering or personally carrying out dozens of killings, including rivals, associates, and even, according to some accounts, one of her own husbands. She's credited by some historians with inventing the motorcycle drive-by hit style that became a cartel signature. After serving nearly 20 years in U.S. prisons on trafficking and murder-related charges, she was deported back to Colombia in 2004. She spent her remaining years in relative quiet in Medellin until September 3, 2012, when a gunman on a motorcycle rode up to her outside a butcher shop and shot her twice in the head. Investigators noted the eerie symmetry. It was almost the exact method she had used to order killings decades earlier. Her murder was never solved. Frank Lucas built his empire in 1970s Harlem, claiming to import heroin directly from Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War, cutting out traditional mafia middlemen and undercutting their prices. His story later inspired the film American Gangster. Unlike many on this list, Lucas wasn't killed. He was arrested in 1975 following a joint DEA and NYPD investigation. Facing decades in prison, he became a cooperating witness, providing testimony that led to more than 100 convictions of associates and corrupt police officers. In exchange, his sentence was dramatically reduced. He was released in the early 1980s, briefly returned to prison in the late 80s on new charges, and ultimately died of natural causes in 2019 at age 88.